Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages.
Oh, the hell with it. Let's just start the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Vern and Bob's Star Trek show. My name is Vernon.
I'm Bob.
And we are here to talk to you about all things Star Trek, more so the television series for right now. When we started, we were doing some favorite episodes, worst favorite episodes, but I think with the way that the last episode turned out, not necessarily being a good one, we realized there's a lot more bad than there is good.
Yes.
We are going to change the format up a little bit, and I'm going to let Bob tell you a little bit about that.
So, as we're getting through these first couple of episodes, we're kind of learning different things about what works and what doesn't. And I think we both agreed with this episode, we're just going to kind of do random episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I found a episode randomizer on the internet, and I think at the end of each show, we're just going to hit the randomizer and see which episode we're doing next.
We are definitely playing with fire here because the episode that your randomizer picked goes right along with Human Resource Nightmare Riker from last episode. So I'm definitely glad we are kicking that into high gear, which this week's episode is A Matter of Perspective.
This is the third season, episode 14. Stardate for this episode is 43610.4.
Also known as February 12th, 1990. So, Bob, I know you got our outline. Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Kick us off for the episode.
All right. So we open, or the cold open for the episode takes place in, I would assume is once again the observation deck. It's Picard and two other crewmen that are painting.
I totally forgot about that till right now.
So
let's talk about this.
Yes, so we got them painting. We kind of get our hint at the episode in this first scene because it's three different perspectives.
Very true.
Of on the painting subject, and then Data comes in to let the captain know that, hey, we're at the Botanica 4 research station, and that they were ready. And then Data proceeds to tell the other two how great their paintings were, and shit's all over.
Shit's all over Picard. I couldn't say it any better.
He kind of looks and he goes, interesting. And he goes, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, how so? And he's like,
Data. You can tell Data didn't want to do it. Now let me ask you, you're the captain of a starship. You don't like getting close to your crew, yet you have a bare naked woman sitting in the observation lounge.
Well, I thought the exact same thing. Would he really take a painting class with an ensign and a lieutenant? I mean, everything else is, I'm not going to do this because it's with, I have to have a certain distance between the crew and myself. And so he's taking painting classes with two lower level.
Yeah. You could have painted a jar of fruit too. You didn't have
a naked woman. And then they had
draw me like one of your French girls, Jean-Luc.
Yeah. When the scene starts, they had that over dramatic music too. It was so out of place for what was going on.
Chateau Picard, anyone?
Yeah. Then we get the opening, and then Picard comes onto the bridge and LaForge is there, and he asks where Commander Riker is, and he said, oh, he's still on the station talking to Dr. Apgar. He asks LaForge if anything was wrong, and he does this sly thing when he goes, well, not with the scientific part of the and he goes,
biology lesson.
Yeah, oh, okay. And then we get the communication where Riker's like, I'm ready to
go.
I'm ready to get out now. And then the station blows up after he leaves it. We start getting a very 15-year-old brooding Riker at this point, where he just is simmering in his chair, and he's just like, Worf tells them that investigator Craig is going to come up, and Picard turns to Riker and goes, maybe you should tell me everything you have about.
Yeah, let's walk.
And so, the investigator comes in and he immediately accuses Riker of murder.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Picard and the investigator Craig, I'm going to keep messing that name up. I can't.
That's not correct.
Yeah. But they
they
have a meeting and he wants Riker extradited.
Mm-hmm.
Picard says, no, it's my responsibility to decide if a member of my crew, if that happens. And so they agree to have a hearing to see if he should be extradited to the planet.
And the hearing is quite unique because it's basically a reconstruction of the space station events by different people's point of views.
Yeah, and I actually love how they use the holodeck in this episode. It's probably one of the better holodeck episodes, I would have to say. It's a very cool, having a hearing where they can recreate everything just by testimony and data that they've collected. I like that. I like that they use it. But there is a scene or a little snippet. Craig says it's impossible. We have to have all the library stuff and the testimony from the planet. And Picard's just like, well, it just so happens we have something we can use for that.
Yeah.
Calls Data in, and as Data walks in, you see Riker peek his head around the corner and look in like that kid that's in trouble, and his parents are in the room deciding what his grounding's gonna be. You also get the back and forth where Picard's like, in our society, it's innocent until proven guilty, and he comes right back like, well, in our society, it's guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah, a lot of back and forth, a bunch of cocksmen right up front, just measuring it out right here. We get into the trial, and boy, the three sides of Riker, and
I got a lot to.
I'm going to let you do your thing, and then I'm going to interject. But I would like to say before we get started, and hopefully our editor-in-chief will put in this meme. This episode has one of the best memes from The Next Generation with Picard and Riker sitting there together.
Yes.
And Riker goes with the whole hands down. This is where that meme generates from.
You don't even have to be a Star Trek fan, and you know
the meme.
Yeah. And yeah, we will definitely have that pop up somewhere.
Yep.
While we're talking about it.
We should have it every time Riker has an HR violation. Just every episode
absolutely.
From now on.
His HR violation. That's going to be the picture that pops up. It's going to get to the point where we don't even have to say it. We just pop it up and people know what we're talking about. The first simulation is based off of Riker's testimony. And of course, it's very much told in Riker's favor. It shows when a very agitated Dr. Atgar. He's agitated about the Federation presence on the station.
Too early.
First time we see Dr. Apgar and his wife, Manua.
It's Manua, not Manuel.
No, not
as
Manuel.
Much as it sounds like Manuel. It's Manua.
No, it's Manua. And
it's Leviosa.
Leviosa, not Leviosa. Oh man, Harry Potter references. We have gone off the rails pretty quick.
Manua.
Anyway, so the first time we see Dr. Apgar's wife, Manua, boy, does Riker paint her as very flirtatious.
Absolutely.
And so I have in the notes, we see Manua tried to flirt with Riker very heavily, and he has nothing to do with it. I put, yeah, right, 4 exclamation points.
As soon as somebody throws that loving at Riker, he's like,
Then they discuss, about how Riker and Geordi should stay on the station, and they were Riker's like, no, we got accommodations on the plane, and she goes, nonsense, you're gonna stay up here with us. And then you see the investigator go, wait a second, you're gonna sit there and tell me that she invited you to stay? And I said,
you didn't force yourself into
I said, situation? Dude, I am right there with you. Nobody buys that.
Craig knows Riker as well as we do,
and he's only known him for like an hour. So Dr. Apgar's wife, Manua, shows Riker to his room, her sanctuary that she uses, And that's when she gets overly flirtatious.
The lock is right here.
And she rubs her hand across his stomach and goes,
Yeah.
and then we have the environmental controls over here.
Ah.
And this shuts the door. She tries to get close to him, and she's like taking her clothes off and he's putting them back on. And then Dr. Apgar walks in and goes, "Oh, I know I was going to catch you with
I
her."
knew I'd find this
do-
first one is I knew I would find you with him.
Yeah.
The first one
And
is find you with him.
He backhands her to the in the face.
Yeah.
And then he tries to punch Riker, and Riker just kind of sidesteps
Nice.
and goes, "Cut it out.
Whoa.
No, stop it."
I have nothing to do with this.
And so he attacks but fails. Dr. Hepcar threatens the tournament. And there's a line in all three of these simulations that gets me every time. And he goes, I'm gonna turn you in. I promise you I will, Riker.
Yeah, I will Riker. I will Riker you.
I said that's not how the sentence is meant to be taken, but that's all I hear out of it. And so then it shows Riker and Dr. Apgar having their conversation, and Riker leaves.
Mhm.
And so Craig goes, "Is there anything else you want to add to that?" And he goes, "Well, no." And then
That's how it happened.
he really drops the bomb here, where he tells everyone that they were able to detect a direct energy beam came from Riker's position as he beams out.
Mhm.
And then he shows the recreation of Riker turning real fast and firing a phaser at the Krager wave converter, thus blowing up the station.
Yep.
And so
I have a fault in this, but I'll let you continue.
Oh no, we're at the end of this little segment.
The fault with this is, and this is how they should have been able to prove it away as soon as it happened. Anytime an energy displacement happens within a transporter beam, it doesn't go out of the transporter beam. It reflects back into the transporter beam.
It gets transported with it.
Yeah, it basically becomes because somebody died that way later in the series.
Yes, but there's also an example of this in this same season. It's the Most Toys, where Data has the Vern T disruptor, and he's going to shoot him. And as he's going through the transport cycle, O'Brien picks up that there is a weapons discharge,
right, and is able to
stop it. So you would think that they would be able to, the same thing would happen, and not like he's in mid transport and you just see the beam like striking the.
Well, they do bring up when the initial transport is happening, because they can't bring Riker back right away. They're saying there is an energy displacement or discharge, but they don't know that it's a phaser. It's not it's not a phaser.
Right. It can't be, because they would already. You would think that they would know what a phaser discharge would.
Right.
We get a let's take a recess, and then you get the scene where LaForge, Data, and Wesley are standing there trying to figure out, and Wesley just goes, "Well, it couldn't be from Commander Riker, but I can't see any other explanation."
Right.
That's when then we get the first issue with intense radiation, where it's melting a hole in one of the bulkheads. My problem with this part is they have such a close up. You see the tricorder, and it really just shows you it's just flashing lights.
All right.
There's really nothing
you're seeing
that they're looking at. It's just blinking lights, and the display has nothing on it. And it kind of, it's so obvious, and it kind of ruined it for, the tricorder at that point for me.
You're not supposed to see that on a big screen TV. It was supposed to be on your original 16-inch monitor back in the day.
With my matter of perspective
Whoa!
VHS tape.
Hey, now. I know.
I'm not trying to brag, but
the original
it's part of my collection.
There you go.
I'm going to be honest with you. On the VHS tape, graphics where they're on the holodeck look 10 times better than on
I can imagine because you can
hide the Blu-ray. On the Blu-ray, it looks awful. It looks so bad.
Probably just real fake looking.
Yeah,
it doesn't look smoothed over.
No, it looks all. I was watching it for like a second time today, and I used the Blu-ray, and it didn't look it. I watched it the first time on VHS, and it looks fine because it's not high def. You can kind of see it, but when you put in that Blu-ray, oh my God, it's hard to watch sometimes because
some things weren't meant to be in HD.
Well, yeah, but I still take it. I just wish they can figure out a way to do Deep Space Nine Blu-ray, but that's another
We'll get
story
there.
for
We'll get
another
there.
podcast. We move on to the very next simulation, and that's Manua testimony, which is basically Riker's, but just reversed. He's the aggressor, and she's the one kind of rebuffing his advances. But we get a couple of things here, and they did it at the beginning of the show when the investigator comes on the bridge and accuses him of murder, and he goes from 0 to 60 real fast.
And he does it in the scene.
You can't come on this ship and just accuse me of, and Picard's like, whoa, dude, settle.
And basically in the scene, he's like, bullshit, that didn't happen.
Yeah, and then she's like trying, and he's like forcing himself on her, and then he gets up and he starts yelling, "That's not me. I wouldn't do this. I certainly wouldn't try to rape her." And then you kind of get the feeling like everyone's like, "Whoa!"
And
whoa, dude,
even Troy's like,
everyone's like, "Whoa! Who said anything about rape?"
Like, you took it there, buddy.
You're the one that took it there. And so basically you get the same thing, but it's just reversed.
And now we have the line, "I knew I would find you here with her, Riker."
Yes, and then they get into a fight, and he kind of like beats up on Dr. Apgar.
Beats the shit out of him.
Basically, yeah, beats the living shit out of him.
No questions asked.
And so we kind of don't get anything. It's like the two different he said, she said type situation that, whatever, doesn't really resolve anything. We get the next scene, we get more radiation where it melts part of sick bay. And I feel like in this scene, they had to have Dr. Crusher in there at some point because she has like 2 or 3 lines. And then the next scene where they're investigating it, she just stands there and really doesn't do much of anything.
Yeah, and it's funny how aggressive Worf is. Bridge to Dr. Crusher.
Evacuate.
Radiation detected in your vicinity.
After that, Dr. Apgar's assistant, Tana. And basically her testimony is Dr. Apgar's point of view since he's dead. Right away, Picard and Riker are like, what the hell? This is hearsay testimony. And he's like, well, in our culture, if somebody dies, you can use hearsay as their testimony. And so basically what we see is like the middle ground. This is probably the one I believe the most, that Riker and Manua probably
they were throwing it at each other.
They probably were making out and all that stuff.
Which is why now the line becomes, "I knew I would find you two together."
Yes, it's everyone. It's a different one. And then he proceeds to beat the shit out of Riker, which
I don't believe, but
I believe that first part to an extent.
But then again, I don't believe Dr. Soren would be able to take Picard either, but that's Picard and Shatner at the same time.
Yeah, well, it's Malcolm McDowell. He's Mr. Clockwork Orange, so you never know.
I remember him more from Wing Commander 4, but
that is absolutely true. I forgot about that. Good call with that one.
Yeah.
That takes me back. So we get
back to romancing the Riker.
Right. We get through her testimony, and it doesn't look good for Riker. So we're at recess, and this is where, and I totally forgot up until this point, really, that Deanna Troy's in this hearing. He brings her in there, and she doesn't do a whole lot of talking in this episode. I think when I watched it again, she has like 6 or 7 total lines.
Yeah, and most of them are with Will when she really shouldn't even be talking to him if she's supposed to be an advisor to Picard.
Yeah.
She's just basically, she sees it as that's the way that it happened to her. It's like, okay, if she's telling the truth and Riker's telling the truth.
Yeah, and then we get
how good of an empath are you if you feel both of them are telling the truth?
Yeah, well, clearly she's not doing that great of a job. But we also get the scene here where she goes, well, clearly Will's innocent. And he goes, well, of course he's innocent. But I can't just, well, you've done it a million times before. Just fucking take off and leave.
All right.
When Wesley in the first season with Justice, he's just like, screw it. I'm just going to take him and we're going to leave.
Yeah. You're coming out.
What's the difference now? You know, you
Mhm.
do it half a dozen times before this. Clearly, at this point, we've already established that the prime directive means absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
What's the big deal with just, okay, fine, we've done it before. Let's just cut ties with this planet and we'll leave.
But I think weren't these guys officially in the Federation, where the one with Wesley, I don't know if they were
No, they
in the
weren't, because in
Okay.
the first season they were still messing around with. They shouldn't even be. They shouldn't. That species had no warp
Right.
capability, had no transporter capability, had
They shouldn't
really
have been there.
no. They shouldn't even have been on that planet. They did it a bunch of times in the first season where they were going to planets that they shouldn't even have had anything to do with. It
Mhm.
was clearly not capable of having a first contact,
Right.
but we're kind of like getting off the beaten path here.
We'll go back to season 1 eventually.
At some point, God hope not anytime soon. After that simulation, Data, LaForge, and Wesley figure it out. We figured out what's going on. And this is where I'm going to have my biggest problem with the
I
episode.
know we have. I
There-
know we have the same feeling here. So go ahead and say your part.
The explanation they give on what's creating the radiation and what happened, I feel like they made up some nonsense just to get the story concluded.
Mhm.
The fact that they made the station so precise that they created a Krieger wave converter that
Mhm.
can actually create Krieger waves.
Right.
But
And even with
we've
the
been told so many times before that things on the holodeck cannot create
are just
things.
light and mirrors. It's just
Yes,
yeah.
it's just for show. They bring LaForge in there and he goes, "Well, not really. Well, kinda."
I mean, if
You
that's the
know?
case, then technically you could build the warp core on the holodeck
Yes,
and
yes.
go to
It
warp.
just to me, it's what I'm not going to sit here and, I enjoyed this episode. It's a good
Mhm.
episode. It's a very good episode. For season 3 is from start to finish probably the most complete season of the entire series
Mhm.
with the episodes. With 4 a close second. But the way you ended this story to me was just ridiculous.
And it was so fast. It's like
You
he
had
came
like
in with the
4 minutes to finish the story, and right, it was so quick they came up with the answer.
"Oh, we have the answer. Trial's over. Thanks. All done." It's
So,
like,
yeah,
"What?"
so there's a generator on the planet that's shooting up this energy, and the pretend, Krieger wave converter that we created is catching it and creating Krieger waves and is causing the radiation throughout the ship.
Right.
And so what happened was he started the generator on the planet and he was going to cause an overload to kill Riker
Right.
because that wasn't going to cause any issue. Like Picard was just going to be like, well, Commander Riker was killed. Let's move on.
Yeah.
We're not going to investigate this at all.
Right.
So basically, what happens is they figure out that Dr. Apgar was going to turn this into a weapon and try to sell it to, because according to Troy, he wasn't going to make any type of financial gains by dealing with the Federation.
All right.
So he was trying to change it and make it a weapon and sell it to, the Ferengi or the Romulan or whatever.
Yeah, and Riker, I think in every instance of the story, never even threatened to shut him down,
No,
anything
and
like
that's
that. It
what
was
I'm
always, "We're
saying.
just checking your
So
progress. You need more time. Okay, cool. We're gonna just squash this whole thing. It's over. I'm gonna go
he thought,
back. You're gonna
yeah, he
keep
thought,
going."
yeah, because they're like, he figured that Commander Riker figured it out, and he had to. It just didn't make sense. Him killing Riker wasn't going to stop anything because then there would have been a huge investigation.
Right. Riker
Even if
just wanted it to go away and be done and leave and go on to his
once
next
again,
escapade. Just be a cuck for a night and let Riker take your away
I,
and let him go back to the ship.
and that's my whole thing was, I just didn't care for how they turned the holodeck into this. Oh, it actually, if you create something on there, it actually can do what you want it to.
Yeah.
And it's just like, no, but that's not what you told us the last 2 seasons.
Yeah. And
It doesn't work
aren't
that
safety
way.
protocols, don't they mean anything? Technically, if the holodeck is producing something that can be dangerous, wouldn't it have shut itself down or stopped?
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I totally
Yeah.
agree with that. It just, for it being such a good episode, it was kind of a letdown ending. Once they show what happened and the investigator was like, oh, hey, we're sorry. We made a mistake. And Riker just gives them this like eat shit look. They go back to the bridge and he's like, well, let's set course for whatever and let's get out of here. And Riker just is sitting there like smiling as big as can be. And
Another
and then
conquest.
the episode ends and
that's it.
That's it. So I think let's do a rating from 1 to 5 stars. What would you give it, Vernon?
I would have given it a strong 4, 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the ending brings me down to a 3, 3.5.
So I'm with you. I probably if the ending was just even a remotely bit stronger, I probably would have went with 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
As it stands right now, I'll probably do 3.5, maybe 3 3/4.
Any episode that's going to have Riker as an HR violation is automatically going to start at a 4.
It's gonna, and then it slowly plummets
Right.
as the episode goes on. But yeah, I'll go 3.5.
Yeah,
It's, it's gonna be very hard to find a season 3 episode that's under a 3-star.
So, getting excited for our next episode. Do you have the technology ready?
I have it ready, and just I'm gonna click, and when you tell me to stop, that's what we're gonna stop on. Okay.
All right. Are we ready to start? Click.
I will tell you when I start. Ready?
All right.
Clicking.
Click, 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 click. Stop.
It is. Oh,
Tuvix.
No. Voyager season 2, episode 4. Elguim. How do you say that? Elguim.
Eloquent.
Yeah. Huh.
Let's see.
I'm not. Out of all of them, I want to say Voyager is probably the one I've watched the least. So it's season 2, episode 4. It's still in the shitty area.
What's the name of the episode?
Elogium.
Oh, this is this is where Kes goes in heat.
Oh, and she starts eating the dirt.
Yeah, and the big thing latches onto the ship. This is going to be a great episode.
Oh, this is going to be a shit show.
Oh,
boy. This is going to be.
Oh boy!
See what we do for you guys.
I knew it was around that time, but I didn't know.
Oh my God, this is going to be.
God. But that is for another time. Bob, where can we find you on social media?
So you can always find me at Trekkie83 on TikTok. That's really the only social media that I do. If you want to find me, check out some of my TikTok stuff. It's usually just clips, and I give some little videos of my Star Trek collections, especially my VHS tapes.
You'll be seeing me in there soon.
Yes.
You'll be seeing me there. I'm planning on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where can we find you on social media?
So TikTok, WVGLAG. You might see more of just my around the house cooking or some of my paranormal investigation stuff.
You made some chicken. I think, was it yesterday or the day?
Yesterday was red fish.
Oh, it was the fish.
Yeah, yes. Red fish.
Real quick, I want to add something. So we are doing randomized episodes. But if any of you have any suggestions and you want to leave it in the comment section, we will 100% watch those episodes instead of randomizing it.
You can only put Tuvix in there once, right?
I feel like now that I did that, we're going to get hit with the worst of the worst episodes, and they're going to make us sit there and watch like season 1 and 2 of each one of these shows is just ridiculously bad.
I feel like when we do get to Tuvix, that needs to be a Discord party watch. And get our live review of what's going on.
And speaking of Discord, there will be a link in the description down below this time.
Yes.
I tried to do it last week and I didn't realize that I had to verify my Google account with YouTube. And it took them like 3 days to get back to me. So I said, the hell with it. We'll just wait till the next episode, but it will 100% be down there. So all of you are more than welcome to join our Discord. And yes, when it comes time, I think that might be like a level, like if we hit a certain subscriber cap or whatever, that Tuvix will be a watch along on Discord.
Yeah, and we'll be
With
recording
everybody.
it so that we can release the reactions later. But
Yes,
the
yes,
live reactions will be
yes.
great.
But
'Cause
yeah,
there's
no,
gonna have to be some
100%.
editing.
Oh, there's gonna woo-wee.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a fun one. So,
But I don't want to die.
well, I don't give a shit what you want. Tuvix, you're the most annoying character. You even outpaced Wesley Crusher. I don't know
Oh
how that was
wow.
possible. But yes,
That is a discussion for another time, guys. Thank you for joining us on Vern and Bob's Star Trek show. We will see you next time, and as always, thanks for watching.